Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a 1 in the live chat, and then we can get today's show started. And as I'm waiting for the ones to come in as usual, if you haven't already, please hit the like button because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, I see you ghost watchers out there, please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, don't forget to share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them that I'm currently live. And that does also help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And lastly, follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It should be pinned in the live chat right now. Hopefully I remember to do that. And I will have it pinned in the comment section once this stream ends. And with the ones coming in, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. As you see by the title of today's show, 3 federal gun charges. Hunter Biden's trial starts today. Is prison coming soon? Is prison coming soon? Let's get into it, man, because now it's Hunter Biden's turn. You know, it's Joe Biden's youngest son turn. Trump had his turn. Now we're going to see if justice will prevail again. If you felt that justice prevailed during the Trump trial, yeah, I don't think so. But, you know, some people clearly do. And what I'm interested in seeing is if the people who are so happy and so gung-ho about justice being served for Trump are going to show that same energy for Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. I have a strange feeling the answer to that question is no. I have a strange feeling the answer to that question is no. But let's jump into it, man. Let's go through a couple of articles very quickly. And then I want to get into some, video clips afterwards, some news clips for us to dissect and go through. And so as you can see, the title of this article here is From Collapsed Plea Deal to Trial, how Hunter Biden has become how Hunter Biden has come to face jurors on federal gun charges. Let's get into it. And as usual, everything that you see on your screen today, the links to all the articles and videos will be in the description box below. So you can read these articles in their entirety for yourself, as well as watch the videos for yourself, the news clips minus my commentary. Let's get into it. Hunter Biden is headed to trial on federal gun charges. The younger Biden is now also confronting the threat of felony convictions and time behind bars. Now, how much time is Hunter Biden facing? He's looking at roughly around 25 years in prison. He faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted of all 3 felony counts. And we're going to get into what those felony counts are in a moment. But here's another interesting piece of information. Mr. Biden has pled not guilty to the charges, right? But he is also, with the strike of the judge's gavel in Delaware, Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, became the first child of a sitting president to be a criminal defendant. He is the first child of a president to become a criminal defendant. And that shouldn't be too surprising because anybody who's looked into Hunter Biden's past at all could see that he was at least a raving delinquent, to say the very least. Something funny, somewhat funny to a degree, right? I never paid Hunter Biden too much mind. I never paid him that much mind, honestly, in the past. But as I was getting ready for today's stream and just really looking for photos for the thumbnail, I was amazed to see how many obscene and absurd photos there are of Hunter Biden online, just partying very hard, to say the very least, partying extremely hard. And I'll just leave it at that. Let's carry on. The case opening Monday, which was today, it's about a gun Hunter Biden had for about 11 days, a 38 caliber Colt Cobra Special. Prosecutors say He bought it illegally in October of 2018 because he falsely swore on a federal form that he was not a drug user. So now with that, what I want to do is I want to pull up the actual charges. What I want to do is pull up the actual charges. So let me bring that up on the screen right now so we can go through what the actual charges are concerning him lying on these forms, saying that he wasn't a drug user when there's a lot of evidence that proves otherwise upon buying these guns, right? So the first count is false statement in purchase of a firearm. Max penalty 10 years imprisonment, $250,000 fine, 3 years supervised release. That's what he could get, minimum of 3 years supervised release. The second count is a false statement to a licensed firearm dealer. The max penalty is 5 years imprisonment, a $250,000 fine, 3 years supervised release. And the third count is possession of a firearm by an unlawful user of a controlled substance. Max penalty 10 years imprisonment, $250,000 fine, and 3 years supervised release. So that's what he's looking at right now. Those are the charges, and that's the time broken down in detail. Now, the article continues to read, prosecutors say I read that part already. He never fired the gun, according to his lawyers, and it ended up dumped in a trash can. Now, that's interesting. How did it end up dumped in a trash can? Did Hunter Biden throw the gun in the trash can? No. I'm curious to know how many of you know who actually threw the gun in the trash can if it wasn't Hunter Biden. If it wasn't Hunter Biden, who threw the gun in the trash can? I'm curious to see if anybody in the live chat knows the answer to that question. I'm willing to bet that quite a few of you might not. Quite a few of you might not. So let's find out who exactly threw that in the trash can. And when we get here, it states jurors are expected to hear testimony from Hunter Biden's ex-wife and other former romantic partners, including Beau's widow, Haley Biden, with whom Hunter Biden had a relationship after his brother's death. Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. You gotta be a sick individual, to say the very least, for you to engage in a romantic relationship with your dead brother's wife. And to be completely fair, the wife, who is the widower, is 10 times worse than Hunter Biden. Okay? Let's not put that, because oftentimes in these situations, we go straight for the guy, and the guy deserves his blame. When you take in Hunter Biden's delinquent behavior, you take it in totality, and then you put it up against the fact that his brother, who passed away from brain cancer, he then got into a romantic relationship with his brother's now widowed wife after your brother died from brain cancer. Like no less than a year later, probably less than a year later, y'all were already in the sheets. Yeah, you definitely deserve your blame, bro. You're a scumbag, because I can never in a million years imagine me doing that to my brothers. You know, my brother passes away. I have 2 older brothers. One is still married, the other one divorced, but they pass away, and I get into a relationship with their now widowed wives. I can't. That would never even come to mind for me. But nonetheless, Haley, I believe her name is Haley Biden, is 10 times worse. Is 10 times worse. We can't just go straight to the guy all the time. No. The women have to hold their blame. The women have to hold their blame. And Haley Biden, I believe that's her name. Yeah, Haley Biden. She's 10 times worse than Hunter Biden was in this particular situation. Because how are you going to go with the brother now that your husband is dead? that means you always wanted to get with the brother. And you were probably, in my opinion, I believe, I assume, allegedly, maybe, it's just my opinion, you were probably already doing something with Hunter Biden before your husband even passed, Beau Biden. Most likely. You're probably doing something with him while your husband was dying of brain cancer before he passed away. It's sick, man. It's sick. To me, that's the only answer. That's the only reality that could exist. If when Beau passes away from brain cancer, a couple months later, you're in a relationship with Hunter Biden. Hey, man. Anyways, I'll let it go. I don't want to belabor that point, but that's just sick and twisted all the way around. But I'm sure now, as you can guess, Haley Biden, the widow of Beau Biden, is the one who found the gun and threw it in the trash. Haley Biden found the gun in Hunter Biden's truck and threw it in the trash. It was found by a man collecting recyclables who gave it to the police. And if I'm not mistaken, from what I heard and from some information that I came across while researching and, just going through these articles, if I'm not mistaken, she threw it in a trash can behind a grocery store. So she recklessly got rid of the gun. Recklessly. Allegedly. I believe, I assume, in my opinion, from what I've heard. I don't know this to be a fact now. This is just what I heard. What I came across, through reading a handful of articles, is that she threw the gun away in a garbage can in the back of a grocery store. Just tossed it. And that's how it was found in the trash by a man who was looking for recyclables. He was digging through the dumpster in the back of a grocery store, probably looking for some cans, looking for some glass bottles to recycle, and came across a pistol. And he returned that sent that into the police. And now here we are. And, Biden, he almost got away with it. He almost got away with it. But here's what happened. It once looked like Hunter Biden was going to avoid prosecution in the gun case altogether. The deal was announced last June. Nearly 3 years earlier, Hunter Biden had confirmed the federal investigation into his tax affairs in December of 2020, shortly after his father was elected. The younger Biden would have pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor tax offense. Prosecutors would have recommended 2 years of probation. There was also a diversion agreement that would have allowed him to escape prosecution on felony gun charges as long as he stayed out of trouble for 2 years. I have never heard of a diversion agreement in my life up until this moment in time. So him pleading guilty to misdemeanor tax offense, they were going to roll up the gun charges in what's called a diversion agreement, to which he wouldn't face those charges anymore so long as he pled guilty to this lesser charge of a misdemeanor tax offense. And as long as he stayed out of trouble for 2 years, then his gun charges would have went away completely. Like I said, I personally have never heard of anything like that before. Clearly, just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and it's not a thing. Clearly it is. And I want to go through that very quickly too, just to get a little bit more of a concrete definition on what that actually is and what that actually means. A diversion agreement. A diversion agreement is a contract between a defendant and a prosecutor that allows for an alternative to prosecution in a criminal case. The agreement can include a deferral of charges, dismissal of charges, or a combination of both. In exchange for the alternative, the defendant may be required to meet certain conditions, such as participating in a rehabilitation program, making restitution, and refraining from criminal activity for a specified period of time. For Hunter Biden, it was 2 years. The agreement must be approved by a court and may include a detailed statement of the defendant's requirements and the reason for the diversion. But That got spoiled. Why did it get spoiled? Here's why. But the plea hearing quickly unraveled. U.S. District Judge Marilyn Norica, I believe her last name is Norica, excuse me, U.S. District Judge Marilyn Norica, who was nominated to the bench by Trump, quizzed both sides with concerns about the deal. To her, it seemed unusual and required her to be involved in the case in a way most federal judges are not. I think that personally she did the right thing, and that's why we need a balance of power, right? The lawyers huddled trying to salvage the deal. At one point, they could be heard yelling at each other. So if it wasn't for this Trump nominated Judge Marilyn Norica, Biden would have just got away with this. Biden would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for this Trump appointed or nominated judge. He would have gotten away with it. But fortunately, there is to some degree a slight balance of power in the country in which he wasn't able to get away with it. He wasn't able to get away with it. And now he has to stand trial. So good for that judge for stepping in and saying, no. You're going to court over this. And a few weeks later, Attorney General Merrick Garland named David Wise, I believe it's Wise or Weiss, David Wise, I think, the Trump-nominated U.S. attorney in Delaware, who was leading the investigation as a special counsel. Hunter Biden was indicted a month after that on 3 gun counts. Now, here's what's interesting and what I'm curious to know. This is going to take place in Delaware. Delaware is essentially home court advantage for Joe Biden, right? So with that being said, there's a lot of questions around whether or not Hunter Biden's going to receive a fair trial, but a fair trial in the reverse, meaning will the people of Delaware be able to honestly judge this trial and say to themselves, yeah, he's either guilty or not guilty. The reality is this, and I want to pull this clip up very quickly. In any other circumstance, this trial would be a slam dunk. It would be a slam dunk, and it should be a slam dunk because there's so much working against Biden. There's so much evidence that goes against him in this case. I want to pull that first video up for you now.
Witness against Hunter Biden is Hunter Biden. I mean, you wrote a book explaining in detail how he was a drug addict, the exact time that he bought a gun, and then allegedly lied about it. So he incriminated himself, and it was incredibly foolish to cash in by peddling a book about your addiction when you know you're under criminal investigation for an addiction-related crime.
So that's number one, right? He literally wrote a book, a memoir, biography, as you call it. And I quote, in the book it states, he said, I was smoking crack every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes. Those are Hunter Biden's words in his book, not mine. He admitted to that. He was smoking crack every 15 minutes. He literally told on himself in the book that he wrote. But outside of the book that he wrote, there's 1,000,001 photos of him online. There's 1,000,001, women that are ready to take the stand. And I'll let my man on the screen get to that part. I'll let him explain it.
But there's other evidence, Lawrence, a cocaine residue on the gun holder, 3 women who were romantically involved with him, their prosecution witnesses.
Those women are going to snitch. The women that he was partying with, doing crack with, nah, they not loyal. Those women are not loyal. No. They're going to take that stand and be like, yeah, he did everything. He did it all. They looking for a payout. They're looking for a book deal. They're looking to get on a Daily Wire or something like that afterwards. I don't know. They're looking to have an interview with Tucker Carlson after the fact. I'm sure Tucker Carlson probably pays a decent amount of money for a good interview. You know what I mean? They're looking to get paid. They're looking for some shine. They're definitely gonna snitch on Biden. They're definitely gonna snitch.
On the gun holder, 3 women who were romantically involved with him, their prosecution witnesses. Finally, and most importantly, there are photographs he took of himself, time-stamped doing drugs 4 days before he bought the gun. I mean, you got to be incredibly arrogant or stupid or both to do that.
I gotta take that as a soundbite. You got to be incredibly arrogant or stupid or both
before he bought the gun. I mean, you got to be incredibly arrogant or stupid or both to do that.
Like I said, when I was looking for photos for a thumbnail to place in the thumbnail for his video, the amount of just degenerate Hunter Biden photos that popped up blew my mind. Concerning the gun, there was a photo of him holding the gun in the nude with his Johnson hanging out. He's somewhere doing crack naked, holding a gun with these other women that are apparently not going to take the stand. Imagine walking into a room and you see Hunter Biden standing there in the nude holding the gun in his hand. Like, yo, bro, what's going on, my man? You good? Are you okay? Are you okay? Why are you over here in the nude holding a gun with your Johnson out and everything? Listen, I'm going to leave. You get yourself together. And just call me when you're doing a little bit better. Okay. That's crazy. But my point is that these photos are out there. All the evidence is out there. It's more than a slam dunk case. It's more than a slam dunk case, right? But the reality is this: it's happening in Delaware. Delaware is the state that Joe Biden was the senator of from 1973 up until he became vice president with Barack Obama. That was when he finally stepped away from being a senator for a little bit. The Bidens more or less run Delaware. They run it. And this is outside of the fact that from top to bottom, head to toe, the General Assembly of Delaware, the Senate and House of Representatives in Delaware, they have a supermajority, which is Democrat, right? They have a supermajority. So having some sort of a fair trial in the reverse, meaning can these people fairly judge Hunter Biden? That's a very genuine question that one has to ask. And they've been asking that not just on Fox News, but even on places like MSNBC, which is, a 100% DNC network. I want to get into this first clip first, another Fox News clip where they were kind of going over that, concerning, is it possible at all for there to be any type of a fair trial? Let's get into that very quickly.
Reading a lot about, and you're the expert at this, but I've been reading a lot about how David Weiss has presented this. It's a very simple case. He lied on the gun form, but I read that apparently his high-dollar attorney, Abby Lowell, who has represented many, many people in Washington, D.C., it sounds like what he's going to do is he's going to present to the jury 2 different gun forms. One of them was the original, and one was from years later, and somebody had written something on it, and it sounds like it may have been somebody from the gun store. So he's going to suggest that somebody tampered with that, and in fact, just to create a reasonable doubt. And so then you got to wonder whether or not that's good. Maybe this isn't such an easy case after all.
Well, look,
I just want to stop right there to highlight the fact that essentially that's really all that's needed. Because when you're going to convict somebody guilty, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. It has to be, beyond that, right? So as long as they're able to create that, and apparently this lawyer is very, very, very good at their job, to say the very, very, very least. And then this is being held in Biden territory, in Biden land, whatever you'd like to call it, Delaware. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be justice as far as Hunter Biden is concerned. He just might get off regardless of all the evidence that's working against him.
It's such an easy case after all.
Well, look, if Abby Lowell, who's one of the most expensive and the most high-powered attorneys in Washington, if he can't make it complicated, nobody can. And that's what he'll do. He'll be trying to throw in reasonable doubt. The prosecution has a good answer for that question about the gun form. It was just an additional, I think, driver's license or address added in afterwards. But Abby Lowell is renowned as a jury whisperer, so he's going to make this difficult. And even though the odds for surviving a federal trial for a defendant are pretty low, I think that, unlike the opposite really of Donald Trump, the odds are stacked for Hunter Biden in this case.
They're 100% stacked for Hunter Biden in this case. And once again, even MSNBC is going to acknowledge that right now. Watch this.
Defense attorney and another former federal prosecutor, Duncan Levin. I've been reading this along as we've been seeing notes get put in. I want to read a couple of potential jurors being asked a slew of questions about his unique position as the son of a president, right? Including, quote, do you disagree that the law should apply equally to all, including the son of a president? We talked about how difficult it would be initially to set a jury for Trump. Are there challenges given the high profile of the family and the defendant and the location? One juror actually said, it's Delaware. It's Delaware. Everybody knows about Joe Biden and his family.
I mean, this is Biden territory, as much in a way as New York was Trump territory for
false.
A long time. Trump had his businesses, and the split screen between these two trials is just undeniable.
The split screen between the two trials is not undeniable. New York was and is anti-Trump. New York was and is anti-Trump, and New York is a state, especially New York City, state and city, from top to bottom is supermajority Democrat. The same thing as in Delaware. Delaware from top to bottom is a supermajority Democrat state. It's a supermajority Democrat blue state. And as everyone keeps alluding to, even here on MSNBC, the DNC network, the head DNC network, as far as I'm concerned, even they're alluding to it as well. This is Delaware. Biden runs Delaware. The Biden family runs the state. There's essentially no way for there to be any type of a fair trial that won't go in the favor of Biden. That doesn't mean that it's impossible for him to be found guilty. But my point is to make the comparison between Biden's trial in Delaware, where it's his town, versus the Trump trial in New York, which is 100% anti-Trump from top to bottom. It's just not a comparison. One guy was having a hard time getting a fair trial in enemy territory. The other guy, Hunter Biden, is going to have a hard time receiving a fair trial, but in the opposite direction, in his home court that his daddy runs. Is it possible to have a fair trial in Delaware where the people of Delaware will actually be able to look at this objectively and say whether or not Hunter Biden is guilty or innocent?
Obviously, a key difference that this was a former president in New York on trial, and this is the son of the current president. Two different things, but in in Delaware, the Biden name is everywhere, and the president's pictures in the courthouse, right in the lobby. So it's
Joe Biden's picture is in the courthouse, right in the lobby as soon as you walk in. Imagine that, you being Hunter Biden, on trial on your home turf. You walk into the courtroom, and on your way there, just walking through the lobby, it's a big old photo of your dad. That has to give you all the confidence in the world that you're going to skate. You're going to skate.
In Delaware, the Biden name is everywhere, and the president's pictures in the courthouse, right in the lobby. So it's going to be hard to find a jury who doesn't know who he is.
Perry, I wouldn't be surprised. Perry Keisha Walker. Remember, I asked the question earlier. Guess who threw Hunter Biden's gun in the trash? I wouldn't be surprised if MSNBC they were like, Donald Trump threw the gun in the trash. It was Trump that did it. Some way, somehow, it's Trump's fault. Trump took Hunter Biden's gun and threw it in the trash. His fingerprints are on the gun. They got to try. Donald Trump in Delaware too. You know, they missed the ball. He dropped the ball on that one. Got to put him up on trial in Delaware also.
In Delaware, the Biden name is everywhere, and the president's pictures in the courthouse, right in the lobby. So it's going to be hard to find a jury who doesn't know who he is. But that's not unique to this case. There are a lot of cases that have a lot of notoriety in small places. There are murder cases in small towns all across America where everybody knows who the defendant is. The real challenge is just finding people who could be fair, and it's not politically fair, but just judge the facts in a fair manner.
Like he said, the real challenge is, can they find anyone who's going to actually be fair and judge everything in a fair manner? Are they capable of actually finding him guilty if he's guilty? As it was stated in the Fox News clip earlier, also, despite all of the evidence, which there's a mountain of evidence that goes against Hunter, that should make this a slam dunk case. With all things considered, given the fact that this trial is happening on his home turf in Delaware, he still has the ultimate equalizer at the end of the day. He has the ultimate equalizer, and the ultimate equalizer is this. In worst case scenario, even if Hunter Biden was found guilty on all three counts, to which he would face up to 25 years as a maximum penalty, right? He still has daddy to bail him out. He still has daddy to bail him out with a pardon, even if he got jail time. Because all this stuff would be wrapped up, I would believe, before the election. Even if it's after the election, you still have until January. He's still the president until, what is it, January 19th, something like that, January 20th. So there's plenty of time for him to be pardoned. Now, as we're going to go through this article here, Joe Biden has been questioned about this numerous times over. They've said no numerous times over. They're not going to pardon Hunter Biden. They won't do it. But I think it's safe to say that he's going to pardon his son. The White House's answer is a hard no. President Joe Biden will not pardon his son, Hunter Biden. Joe Biden doesn't need to decide just yet, though. The most opportune moment to choose whether to use sweeping presidential pardon powers to make Hunter Biden's federal criminal prosecution disappear may come after the November 2024 election. Obviously, he wouldn't make that decision prior to the election. As long as if this happens, if everything is sentenced and the election hasn't happened yet, the answer is going to be no. But if he wins, he's pardoning his son. And if he loses, he's still going to pardon his son. Why? Well, the article explains that. Pretty much common sense. Win or lose, Biden won't be on the ballot ever again, or on any ballot for that matter, ever again. And if he did decide to pardon Hunter, he wouldn't need to worry about a voter backlash, because he's out the game after this. No matter how this thing plays out for Biden, whether he wins or whether he loses, Hunter Biden is going to get pardoned. He is going to get pardoned. He's not spending any significant amount of time in jail, even if he was found guilty. And I mean, come on, man. There's the reality of it. I'm pardoning my son too. You know what I mean? Let's not play games, right? Unless it was like something wild, like my son was like an axe murderer or something crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing something crazy like that. That's different. But I'm not gonna lie. Charges like this, yeah. If I'm the president, I'm letting my son out. Free my son. He getting out today. He's getting out today, and I'm pretty sure all of you understand that as well. So once again, no matter how this thing slices, as they were saying in the Fox News clip, it all goes in Hunter Biden's favor in the end. It all goes in Hunter Biden's favor in the end. And that's just the reality of it. If he goes to jail, he won't spend much time there. But I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly, this trial happening in Delaware, they're not going to find him guilty. I'd be shocked. I'd be floored if he actually got found guilty on any of those charges on his home turf in Delaware, where when you walk into the courtroom in the lobby, there's a giant photo of his daddy hanging there for everybody to see. He's not getting found guilty. That's not happening. I hope so. He should be found guilty, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I'm curious to know what you all think. Do you guys think he's going to get found guilty? If he does, do you believe that his daddy's going to pardon him and get him out of jail? Or do you believe he's just going to be found innocent because home court advantage? He's not going to get a fair trial, but it's not going to be fair in the reverse. It's not going to be fair from the standpoint of they're not capable of judging him fairly. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And share this video out on your social media platforms. And don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It'll be pinned in the comment section once the stream is over. And maybe, hopefully, I remembered to pin it in the live chat if you're watching live right now. Thank you all for your time. Until the next stream tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace and have a great evening.